My name is Grace Webster. I'm 34 years old, and for the last 7 years, I've carried a pain that I never thought I'd have to share publicly. Every single summer, my mom invites the entire extended family to her beautiful lake house in Traverse City for 2 full weeks. Aunts, uncles, cousins, their kids, the whole crew. But every May, without fail, she calls me with that same careful, apologetic tone and says, "There's no room for me and my daughter Lily. 23 people fit just fine. We never do." 7 summers of excuses. 7 summers of watching family photos flood my feed, everyone laughing on the dock, kids in floaties, burgers on the grill, and me and my little girl. Nowhere in sight. I swallowed it every time. I kept the peace. I told myself Lily was too young to notice the empty space where our family should have been. Then, one night last September, my 7-year-old daughter sat on her bed in her little fox pajamas, tears rolling silently down her cheeks, and asked me a question no child should ever have to ask. "Mommy, why does Grandma say we're not real family?" Something inside me shattered that night, the part that had stayed quiet for years, the part that always made excuses for my mother. I recorded my daughter's words right there in the moment. And then, I discovered something even more powerful on her iPad, a second recording my mom had no idea existed. I brought both of those recordings to Thanksgiving dinner. 23 relatives were sitting around that table when I pressed play. Before I tell you exactly what happened next, the gasps, the silence, the way everything unraveled, if this story is already hitting close to home, please take a second to like the video and subscribe. It really helps these kinds of real, raw stories reach more people who might need to hear them. Also, drop in the comments right now, where are you watching from and what time is it there? Let me know if you've ever felt like the outsider in your own family. I'll be reading as many as I can. Okay, let's go back to the beginning. It all started when I was 6 months pregnant with Lily. That first May call from my mom is burned into my memory. The lake house sits right on the water in Traverse City. 4 cozy bedrooms upstairs, a guest suite in the basement, and that incredible wraparound porch with a dock that stretches 30 feet out into the sparkling water. I learned to swim off that dock. I caught my first bluegill there when I was 9, my dad holding the bucket while I screamed with excitement and a little bit of fear. That house wasn't just a vacation spot. It was every good childhood memory I had. The smell of pine trees mixed with lake water, the sound of laughter echoing across the dock, the way the sunset painted everything golden. So when my mom called that May, with me 6 months pregnant, ankles swollen like balloons, already daydreaming about Lily splashing in the same water someday. Her voice had that practiced, apologetic pitch, the one she uses when she's already made up her mind but wants you to feel like it's a suggestion. "Honey, the house is packed this year. And with you being 6 months along that long drive, maybe next summer would be better." I said okay. It made sense on paper, right? Pregnant, long drive, a new baby, sure, next summer. But next summer came and the excuse changed. "The baby's still so little, Grace. All that noise, all those people." It wouldn't be fair to her. The summer after that, Ruth's bringing her whole crew. We literally have no room. Every May, the phone would ring. Every May, I already knew what was coming. 7 different excuses, each one sounding reasonable if you didn't look too closely. And every July, I'd scroll through Facebook and Instagram and see the photos. My sister Brenda's kids splashing in floaties, cousin Tommy flipping burgers on the grill, the whole family -2, always minus us. Brenda was always there with her husband and 3 boys. They always had room. I knew the real reason deep down. I'd known it since the day I brought Marcus home, my husband who doesn't look like the rest of the family. But knowing something in your gut and being able to prove it, those are 2 very different things. The worst part wasn't even being excluded. It was discovering what my mother was telling everyone else behind my back. One October, I called Aunt Ruth just to catch up. She's my mom's younger sister, sharp-tongued, no-nonsense, the kind of person who makes holidays interesting. Halfway through the call, she said something that stopped me cold. Gracie, I'm glad you're finally reaching out. Your mom said you've been so busy you don't want to come around anymore. I went silent. She kept going. She said you told her you have your own life now. That the lake house isn't really your thing. I never said any of that, not a single word. My mother had built this quiet, believable narrative. Grace is busy. Grace has moved on. Grace prefers her own space. She delivered it with soft shrugs and sad smiles. I invite her every year. She always says no. What am I supposed to do, beg? I tried to correct it. I called my mom directly, kept my voice steady. Mom, I just talked to Ruth. She thinks I don't want to come. Silence. Then the tears on command, the way some people can sneeze. Grace, are you blaming me? I've done everything I can. You're the one who. That same night, my sister Brenda texted. Mom says you screamed at her on the phone. Are you okay? I didn't scream. I barely raised my voice. But filtered through my mother's retelling, I became the problem again. I was losing a war I didn't even know I was fighting. And she was winning it, one whispered phone call at a time. That night, Marcus and I sat at the kitchen table after Lily was asleep. He listened quietly as I told him everything, the call with Ruth, the confrontation, Brenda's text. He rubbed his jaw the way he does when he's choosing his words carefully. Okay, he said. So what do you want to do? I want to drive up there in July and just walk through the front door. And then what? He asked gently. Your mother denies it, cries, calls Brenda. And you're the villain again. He wasn't wrong. That was the pattern. Marcus grew up in a big Atlanta family with plenty of drama. He'd seen what happens when adults turn kids into battlegrounds. His own cousin stopped speaking for a whole year after a nasty family property fight. I don't want Lily growing up thinking her grandparents' house is a war zone, he said. She's only 3. She doesn't know any of this yet. So we waited. I hated it, but I understood it. My mother was cruel behind closed doors and flawless in public. Without undeniable proof, I was just another daughter complaining about her mom. Every family has one, right? I made a quiet decision. I'd protect Lily from the ugliness as long as I could. I'd hold my silence until the moment it touched her directly. I didn't know that moment would come from Lily herself, and that it would take 4 more painful years. Fast forward. Lily turns 3. She blows out candles on a butterfly cake, happy and oblivious. She doesn't ask about the lake house yet. Then she starts 2nd grade. That's when the questions begin. She'd come home from school, swinging her backpack onto the counter, casually mentioning what her friends did over summer break. Olivia went to her grandma's cabin. Jadon stayed at his grandpa's farm for a whole month. One evening, over mac and cheese, she looked up at me with those big brown eyes. Mommy. Why don't we go to the lake house? My throat tightened. Grandma's house is small, honey. It gets really crowded. She accepted it. For a while, kids do. Then her teacher called, Mrs. Patterson's voice was calm but careful. Lily drew a family portrait today. It's just the 3 of you, her dad and her. When I asked about the rest of her family, she said she doesn't have grandparents on your side. I sat in the school parking lot after pickup, engine running. Hands gripping the wheel for 10 full minutes. My 7-year-old had already internalized the message my mother never said to her face, but had broadcast loud and clear through years of absence and silence. A mom from Lily's class pulled me aside one afternoon. Lily mentioned she doesn't have grandparents on your side. I hope I'm not overstepping. Silence wasn't protecting her. It was teaching her the wrong lesson. My mother still video called every few weeks, just enough to maintain the appearance of being a grandmother. Oh, I FaceTime Grace all the time, she could say if anyone asked. One Thursday evening in June, she called while I was chopping onions. Lily grabbed the iPad, answered, and wandered to the couch. I couldn't hear the full conversation over the fan, but months later I would. On September 14th, a Tuesday, I remember because Lily had a spelling test the next day, we were quizzing words like enough and special. She got every one right, then the smile just left her face. Mommy, why does Grandma say we're not real family? My knuckles went white around the notebook. What do you mean, baby? On the phone. When I asked about the lake house, she said it's for real family. She picked at her blanket. Am I not real? I pulled her into my arms. You are the most real thing in my life. Do you hear me? She cried silently into my shoulder, the kind of cry that comes after holding something in for too long. After she fell asleep, I sat in the dark kitchen and called Marcus, who was on a work trip. When I told him, his voice changed. She said that to our daughter. The next morning, I gently asked Lily to repeat everything while I recorded it on my phone under the table. I wasn't trying to trap anyone. I just needed proof that I wasn't crazy. Then I picked up her iPad to close a game and saw the screen recording icon still active. A saved file from June 12th, 22 minutes long. I pressed play. There it was, my mother's living room, slightly tilted because Lily had propped the iPad on a pillow. And her voice clear as day. Sweetie, the lake house is for our family. You know, real family. Your daddy is different. You understand, right? I sat on the kitchen floor with that iPad in my lap for a long time. I gave my mother one last chance. I called her and asked directly, did you tell Lily she's not real family? She denied it. Then pivoted. You're always making everything about race, Grace. This is why I can't talk to you. She hung up. 40 minutes later, Brenda called. Mom's really upset. She says you accused her of being racist. I told her I'd be at Thanksgiving. My mother was thrilled, or at least performed thrilled. She called half the family to announce it. When I arrived, the house was full. 23 people. Laughter, the Macy's parade on TV, the smell of turkey and pie. Family photos on the mantle, none of us. I was seated in the far corner, as predicted. My mother ran the conversation, steering every story back to the lake house summers we were never invited to. After the main course, she tapped her glass. Let's go around and share what we're thankful for. When it reached me, I stood up. I'm thankful that every single person is here tonight. Because there's something I need you all to hear. The room went still. I pulled out my phone. My mother stood. Grace, don't. 7 years, Mom, there's no better time. I pressed play. Lily's small, shaking voice filled the room. Mommy, why aren't we real family? Are we pretend? Gasps. Hands to mouths. Forks down. My mother. That's out of context. Children misunderstand things. I didn't stop. I played the second recording, the screen recording from June. My mother's own voice. The lake house is for our family, real family. Your daddy is different. The room imploded. Aunt Ruth, what context makes that okay to say to a 7-year-old? Uncle Larry, Donna, let her finish. Cousin Tommy, you told us for years she didn't want to come. That was a lie. People started standing. Aunt Margaret and her husband quietly got their coats and left without a word. My mother looked desperately around for allies. Keith stared at his plate. Brenda looked at Lily. I stood. Lily, get your coat, baby. We're going home. As we walked out, my mother called after us. We need to talk as a family. I turned. We've talked for 7 years, Mom. You chose to lie. I'm choosing to leave. Outside in the cold November air, Ruth caught my hand. I'm sorry I didn't see it sooner. You couldn't, I said. She made sure of that. The texts and calls started that night. Ruth left right after us. Margaret and Bill went home. Tommy removed her from the group chat. Within 5 days, 3 households quietly declined Christmas at her house. In our small town of 12,000, the story spread like wildfire. My mother was asked to step back from her longtime role heading the church hospitality committee. My father called. Your mother cries all day. Are you happy now? I replied. My daughter cried for months. Did you ask about her? My mother sent a letter that blamed my reaction more than her actions. I wrote back clearly. I need accountability, an apology to Lily and family counseling. The door is open when you're ready. She refused. I will not be put on trial by my own daughter. I didn't cut her off forever. I set clear boundaries. She chose not to meet them. 4 months later, we hosted a simple backyard barbecue. Ruth, Larry, Margaret, Tommy, Brenda, they all came. Lily ran and laughed with cousins she'd barely known before, building forts out of sticks. Marcus put his arm around me. She's okay. She knows where she belongs now. I'm not sharing this so you'll cut off your family. Every situation is different. I'm sharing it because it took me 7 years to learn what should have been obvious. Silence when someone is hurting your child isn't keeping the peace. It's giving permission. Children feel the empty chair long before you explain it. They know when they're being treated as not real. If you're in a similar situation right now, knowing the truth but waiting for the perfect moment or perfect proof, hear this. The right moment is when your child starts to believe the lie. Last week, Lily brought home a new family portrait from school. It was messy, bright, and full, me, Marcus, her, surrounded by Aunt Ruth, Uncle Larry, Margaret, Tommy, Brenda, and all the cousins she now sees regularly. Look, Mommy. Our family. That's a big family, I said. She grinned. It's the real one. Yeah, baby, it is. If you've ever had to choose between keeping the peace and protecting your child, drop your story in the comments. I read them. If this hit home, and you're wondering if you're overreacting to how your family treats you or your kids, trust that feeling. Type boundaries in the comments if you're setting them or need strength to do so. If you want more real stories about standing up, drawing lines, and choosing your child's peace over someone else's comfort, check the description for the playlist. Like this video if it moved you, subscribe for more, and hit the notification bell. Thank you for staying with me through this entire story. You're not alone. See you in the next one.